Hello there, it's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee. Now today what we're going to do is make a very simple robin on a ring for a pin cushion so that we can wear it. Now I'm going to do one with you, but I'm going to do it a lot neater because who knows what I was thinking. Now hand sewing is my weak point, and but that doesn't mean that I still can't do it. It just means I'm not very good at it. So let's get rid of that because I need the ring. Okay, so we've got a ring. I've chosen one with quite a big head, and it is only a fashion ring, it's fine. And first of all, I need to draw the picture of my robin. So I've got my big red breast, I have my head and my body that I can do all in one piece, including the tail in brown. I can also add on 2 wings, and then I've got a little fluffy bit here that's going to be white. And what I've done is I've cut just a little rectangle just to sew that over the stone on the ring. It's very simple. Okay, let's turn that over. Oh, and I need a yellow beak. Now I can either use a diamond, so it's open like on a cartoon owl or something, you know, they're kind of like that, or I can use a triangle. So pattern. Now I want to do the red breast as a circle and then gather it up. I want to stuff it with tin foil so that I keep my pins sharp, but also so that when I put a pin in, there's some resistance there so I don't go right through and then stab my finger. Okay, you can see that. So I'm going to gather up my circle so that it's a more 3-dimensional ring. The head, the body and the tail I'm going to cut from a piece of felt, and then I'm going to cut them at an arch so that they cover this circle. Now while I'm cutting, I've got the bottom fold here. I'm also going to cut my 2 wings off. I know, this is just to save fabric so that the rest of the fabric can go there, because we don't want to waste fabric. And my beak is a diamond because I'm silly. I know, I'm childish. But sometimes it's better to do something that kind of looks like it should so that people recognise it than actually correct. And you'll find that a lot in life. Okay, so I've got my circle. I'm gathering just this felt part. So yes, in fact I'm not sewing. I have my needle here and I'm folding this fabric across the top of my needle. I know, that's how I sew. So I've got both ends quite secure. I need my ball of tin foil. Might be too big. That might be too small. Start off small and then just keep adding pieces till you've got the right size. And you don't need it completely crushed, you just need it loosely so that you can still get your needles in. I'm going to place my silver ball in my loop-de-loop of red circle fabric, and I've got both ends here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to not make sure that I pull my knotted end right through, because fabric, felt especially, you can pull your knot through. All I'm going to do now, stitch once, bring it across, stitch right across the centre. It's going to be covered up so it doesn't need to be tidy, but just doing this will help you in the later stages, just because it will. Now I also cut off a little loose triangle of white felt just to cover the bottom. Now rather than over sew this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew it from under, because I can hide my stitches by doing different colour threads on my brown, and my brown and my red won't really stink through too badly, but my white and my red, if I used red thread, then it would look terrible. So I'm going to undersew my white triangle. That's done. So, and I can always come back and tidy up those stitches, and I leave my thread on there for now, because it's better structurally if you use one thread. Now I'm going to leave my tail unattached, and I'm going to sew the top of my bird, and I can put my knot in the centre there and just stitch that in. Now, even though this is two-dimensional, because we're putting it over a three-dimensional shape, it'll naturally curve round. Now, a couple of stitches, same colour thread just to hide it. If you have outstanding hand stitches, then you can do it in a contrasting thread and show your work. I know, okay, I'm alone in this, yeah. And then we can just go over the top. But while I'm here with my thread, what I'm going to also do is I can just pop the whole lot through, and I can tack on my wings, because that's all they need, just a couple of stitches just to keep them in place, and it just gives more of the appearance of a bird. So I'm just tidying up as I go, because I've got myself in a little bit of a pickle, which is fine, and then that knot I can literally sew in. So where am I? Couple of little stitches for my wings, which are little more than triangles. There is a sort of natural curve to them, but not so anyone would know. And I will start sewing on the side that it needs to be. Okay, so there's that, and the beak will be also, I'll need to sew that in, and I'll need to sew that across, probably on the joining between the red and the brown, and I'll sew my diagonal in. Alright, I'm going to get up to date and I'll be right back. Hello there. Okay, so I've completely sewn my robin, and because this curls round, it'll look more robin-like when it's on. I have my circle with my white bit attached and my tin foil showing. I'm going to place my robin over the top, hold it with a pin, just because I can, and I have my thread here in a complete knot. And all I need to do is, as tidily as possible, cover up all these white stitches. If I do that, then my job will be complete. So yes. Now I've chosen to use brown thread. This just means that it won't, because the colours are, yeah, there's red in brown, then it will not bleed in too much. It won't look too terrible. Okay, so let's bring that round there. And be careful that I don't knock off a wing or something. There we go. Well, I have the head on, so I'm just moving through the body, and each of these stitches will pull it down as well. And yeah, we're getting there. And with each stitch I'll be forming a curb of the little birdie. Yeah. Now robins are a symbol of Christmas, especially in England, and they are here all year round, but they only really stand out in the winter because there's a few less birds. But yeah, they're really tiny, really tiny. You know, it always shocks me when you see how small they are, because you'll imagine them as quite larger than life. Okay, so now what I've got to do is I've got to tuck that white bit in, and I'm just going to tuck in my stitches as well. We're just coming up to the tail, and I can leave the tail loose and flappy. That's the best thing about felt, is you can do that. and as tiny as stitches as I'm able. And of course I could even change thread colour if I thought it would show terribly. So then we've got the V. Yeah, the only reason I keep saying it will look less swallowy is because it does look quite swallowy, but because we're curbing it round a ball, it won't look, and we do need it three-dimensional. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a couple of loose stitches in there so I can come back to it, but enough for you to see the overall effect, because I don't want you to get too bored. And then I need to either cut a new bit. Oh, now I can see my brown bit. There we go. Just to hold it in place. Obviously the stitches are a bit neater on one side than the other. And I have my Pacific little cut brown piece. I'm going to put a couple of stitches in that. And this is to represent the legs, but also to represent where I'm going to tie the ribbon to the main body. Now I'm not going to bother marking eyes or anything, but I guess you could if you had a really small bead. That would be fabulous. Okay, now if I place my stone facing upwards so that I can protect my hand and secure this firmly, I have my thread which I'm going to push through the pincushion and bring it up the other side, and then all I need to do is a good couple of stitches just to hold that securely. Now I must admit I do feel a bit fiddly because I've kind of clamped it all in one go, but I think that's part of hand sewing. There we go. So you get rid of that needle and make sure I haven't caught my wings. There we go. We don't want the tail facing up. The tail goes right downwards on a robin. But there we are, our little robin pincushion, and he will look so much better when we've put some pins in there. Okay, thank you ever so much for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee. Okay, take care.